Hello Duelist, it is your boy Winster and I am back at it again with another video. I hope everyone watching this video is having an amazing day, and of course thank you for the support. It does mean a lot. You know I have to give a shout out to my YouTube channel members every single time. Shout out to Thomas Mead, Why Me, Staying Young, Anthony Looney, Jared FGC, Gabby, Quick, Jay, Hunter, Veggie Ubel, Yu-Gi-Oh, Steve Fox, Josh McFarlane, Corey, and Leo. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and thank you for believing in the content. I really appreciate it. For those wondering what you get when you become channel members, early access to all full videos, shout out on every single full video. You guys can play with me on Master Duel and Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro at a time that works best for both of us. I'm trying to stream more often, so hopefully we get to do that last part a little bit more consistently, and I apologize for those who want to play games with me, but I'm getting back into that routine. Yesterday, we had an absolute bombshell drop on us from Konami yesterday after the finals of YCS Houston with their new ban list reveal. Konami is really addressing a lot of the problems of the current meta, maybe lowering down the strength of some top tier meta decks like Raizio and Malice, and in that same time really hitting the game the way it's going to be played with hitting cards like Triple Tactics, Talents, and Crossout. Also addressing the concerns of the community with maybe limiting cards like Shifter. It reminds me of where Mystic Mind was back when that card was still a legal card. I definitely think that Konami did good overall, but that's what we're going to be discussing. Even though this ban list is probably one of the greatest of all time, it is going to change the face of how we play this game moving forward. So first of all, let's talk about the contents of the ban list. I think Konami did a phenomenal job of addressing the top tiers. Raizio, all the main deck monsters, Ice, X, and Sword got hit to 2. Node isn't a 1-card starter, so that's why they didn't even pay attention to that card. Really hitting the consistency of that deck. Also, hitting Bonfire to 1 hurt that deck a lot. Detonator, hitting it to 1. I definitely think they did a great job. I don't think it was really necessary because they never really went to 2 anyways, but just removing some of those resources, so making it a little bit harder to play that deck. Also, it pushes the Konami agenda so that we get off a Bonfire and start using the new Tachyon card. So I definitely think they did really good with addressing the power level. The Malice, they also addressed that deck, hitting Dormouse and White Rabbit and Underground. Link Decoder as well, also hitting the Dru's Worm. I think they did really good. It didn't outright kill those decks. They really lowered down the power level to make it at least a little bit more even playing field compared to every other deck in the format. I definitely think there's some up and coming stars that are going to be coming out with the new Blue Eyes stuff. Primite getting a reprint with Lordy Load, and then also the Blue Eye Structure deck just came out. There's new support for the Primite cards. I could see why Konami didn't even touch this deck. Not that it's like bad, because it's fairly consistent, right? There are multiple ways of interaction, multiple hand traps, can play some very powerful cards, also just big monsters overall. I could see that deck being the next contender for being the best. You have Memento, just won YCS Houston, which is crazy. Could potentially be the next candidate. I think one misstep, not from my opinion, but from the community's perspective, from the consensus of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I'm really shocked they didn't hit Fiendsmith. I don't think there's new support coming out for the archetype. Maybe they want to push their agenda and want to sell the cards because Engraver is going to get reprinted here very soon. And I'm shocked that they didn't touch it in any kind of capacity, because at the highest levels of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, I don't think there isn't a deck that isn't playing the Fiendsmith stuff. It's just such a consistent engine, really works with a lot of stuff. Given, I do think it's a fan favorite. That could be one of the reasons behind it, but I definitely agree that it's either A, because they want to sell the Engraver, B, because the community does like the engine. I don't think the engine is toxic enough, because the worst thing you could set up, or the best things you could set up, are the Desiree, the Caesar, which are very powerful cards in and of themselves. Konami also did a great job in addressing the community's concerns with hitting Dweller, a one-sided no graveyard usage. I think it was a very toxic card, and I think that card needed to leave. It didn't need to be here. I definitely think they did well there. Also addressing Bahamut Shark, it was an indirect to Raizio, because Raizio started using the Tachyon cards to draw surfacing Big Jaws to cheat out. Totally awesome. But it was a focal point for the Water People deck. Shout out to all my Water People in the comment section. Was the big contender for why Bahamut Shark ended up getting banned. So definitely really good there, addressing the problem before it became a bigger issue. But I think the main point of this is they hit Shifter. I am so taken back. It always felt like Shifter was Konami's loved card. They're just like, no, this card needs to be in the format. But I definitely think that it was such a toxic card. Hitting to 1, you're still going to see it around because it's such a powerful effect. Maybe Malice is going to be the only deck they're going to be maybe even running it. That's even if they do. But I definitely think that they addressed a lot of parts what the community was worried about, and it definitely showcases that Konami is, paying attention to the community and just listening to us overall. And another thing to take into consideration is that Konami are dropping these lists at the end of their YCS, at the end of their events, and it gives us more consistency from Konami, something that we've always wanted for them ever since I started being a competitive player or just going to events overall. It was always, man, when is Konami going to drop this ban list? We just never know. But now we have an idea of when things are going to be coming out. Now, the next thing we're going to need from them is just a little bit more frequency, or at least transparency when it comes to dates. We want them to drop every 3 to 4 months, or at least tell us like, hey, this ban list is going to come in X amount of time. That would be the next thing that I would hope Konami would be a little bit better at. So now I wanted to talk about some of the missteps that Konami took with this ban list. I definitely think hitting cards like Triple Tactics Talons and Crossout Designator was the wrong step. Yes, at the highest level of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Crossout Designator is pretty toxic. It not only becomes a way to power through hand traps with your natural insulation of being a top tier deck, having multiple extenders, multiple 1-card starters, and just being able to play through a couple of hand traps. Crossout Designator would allow those decks to be able to power through the more powerful hand traps in the format. I guess the thought process was to bring down Crossout Designator, you naturally bring down those top tier decks, but I think that was the wrong move. The right move was to hit those decks, but not hit everyone else, because not only do you hit Crossout Designator, you also hit the other decks that use it that are lower tier. Right? Lower tier decks don't have the natural insulation that top tier decks have, right? One hand trap really seals the deal on some of these decks. Crossout Designator really helped those decks out because it allowed them to push, have the resiliency that top tier decks usually have naturally. So I definitely think that's the misstep that they took with the ban list. Same thing could be said about Triple Tactics Talons. Yes, don't get me wrong, it's such a powerful card, having 3 powerful effects, drawing to, looking at your opponent's hand and just taking control of an opponent's monster. It's just so freaking strong in my personal opinion. I definitely think that card is fair because it requires some interaction from your opponent. Yes, hand traps are pretty prevalent in the current meta game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It requires your opponent to interact with you in some kind of capacity, and there's ways to interact with your opponent without necessarily having to activate a specific monster effect or just a monster effect overall. So I definitely think those cards help the lower tier decks a lot more than they helped out the top tier decks. Now, moving forward, I definitely think this is going to change the game. People are going to start playing more hand traps. There's not a real reason to not to. There's no way to consistently punish your opponent from using hand traps. Crossouts at 1, Called-Wise at 1, Triple Tactics Talons at 1, Thrust is at full power, but who knows what's going to happen to that card. It may get hit on this next ban list. Look at Triple Tactics Talons. So just be ready for the influx of more hand traps. Is that good or bad for the game? That's for you to decide. These are just some of the topics that I lightly touched base on when I broke down the ban list discussion video. If you guys want to check that out, it's going to be on my channel. I just really wanted to highlight some of the talking points and some of my ideas and how I felt overall on the ban list and what are we expecting to see moving forward. I want to get your guys' thoughts and opinions, guys. Be sure to leave them in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. I definitely will talk to everyone. But I wanted to get your guys' feedback on this. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys took something from this. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. But that's going to be it for me today. Have a good rest of your day. My name is Windsor. Peace out, everyone.